My son yelled, "That room is my wife's." I stood there frozen, because he wasn't talking about a guest room. He was talking about my bedroom. The room I slept in for decades. The house I bought with my own money. And in that moment, I realized I was no longer a mother in my own home. I was a problem they wanted removed. That house wasn't inherited. No gifts, no shortcuts. I worked my whole life for it. Late nights. Missed vacations. Every wall had my sacrifice in it. When my husband passed away, I let my son and his wife move in. Not because I had to, but because family is family. At least, that's what I believed. It started small. Whispers when I entered a room. My food thrown away. My routines mocked. Then one day I came home, and my clothes were gone. Folded. Packed. Left outside the master bedroom. That's when my son stood in front of me and said, "Mom, that room belongs to my wife now." And my daughter-in-law? She smiled. They told me I should be grateful. They were letting me stay. They gave me a smaller room. Took over the house like I didn't exist. Neighbors started asking questions. Relatives stopped visiting. And my son? He avoided my eyes. That hurt more than the yelling. Because silence from your child cuts deeper than disrespect. I never thought the worst betrayal of my life would come from the child I carried for 9 months. That night I stood in my own hallway, barefoot, tired, just wanting to lie down in my bedroom. But my son stepped in front of the door and yelled words that still echo in my ears. "That room is my wife's now. You're not allowed inside." For a moment I thought it was a joke, a cruel joke. But then I saw her, my daughter-in-law, standing behind him, smiling. And that's when I realized I wasn't a mother in that house anymore. I was an obstacle. That house wasn't just walls and furniture. It was my life. I bought it with my late husband. We skipped vacations. We worked double shifts. We raised our children there. Every corner had memories. Birthday candles, school bags by the door, late-night prayers when money was tight. After my husband passed, I kept the house running alone. When my son married, I opened my doors without hesitation. "Stay here," I said. "Save money. Build your future." I gave them the master bedroom temporarily. When my health declined, I slept in the guest room, thinking, family supports family. I never imagined temporary would turn into entitlement. Slowly things changed. My groceries disappeared. My routines were mocked. My opinions were ignored. My daughter-in-law started saying things like, "Old people don't need big rooms. This house feels crowded. You should adjust. We're the young ones." My son stopped defending me. The boy who once held my hand crossing roads now avoided my eyes. Still I stayed quiet, because mothers are taught one thing: endure. That night my body ached badly. I walked toward my bedroom, my knees weak, my heart heavier. That's when my son blocked the door. His voice was loud, sharp, angry. "That room is my wife's," I said softly. "I just need to rest." He didn't care. She stepped forward and said calmly, "You should know your place." My clothes had been removed. My photos taken down. The lock changed. I stood there, homeless. Inside my own house. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just walked away. That night I sat alone, in the small guest room, and something inside me broke. But something else was born. Clarity. I realized love without respect is not love. I remembered something they forgot. The house was still in my name. I hadn't signed anything. I hadn't transferred ownership. So while they slept peacefully, believing they had won, I made phone calls. To my lawyer, to my bank, to my strength. Within weeks, everything changed quietly. The property papers were updated. A legal notice was prepared. A buyer was finalized. I didn't announce anything. I cooked. I smiled. I watched them plan renovations on a house they didn't own. Then one morning, a lawyer walked in and said, "This property has been sold. You have 30 days to vacate." Their faces turned pale. My son screamed. My daughter-in-law cried. They begged. My son said, "How could you do this to us?" I looked him straight in the eyes and answered calmly, "You did it first. When you took my room, you took my respect. When you chose comfort over your mother, you chose this ending." My daughter-in-law said, "We thought you were weak." I smiled for the first time in months. I was patient, I said. "There's a difference." I moved into a small, peaceful apartment. With sunlight. With silence. No shouting. No humiliation. My son hasn't called since. And that's okay. Because justice doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes with documents, dignity, and distance. And if you're watching this, thinking silence means weakness, remember my story. Because even the quietest mother knows when it's time to close the door.